I'm Coach Shen, a total immersion swim coach based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Today I'd like to talk about one element of the early vertical forearm, and that's the action in just the arm itself. Now, in order to do the early vertical forearm, you must get the elbow either up on top of the arm or definitely above horizontal. And what I mean by that is getting it up there. So that way the arm can fold underneath it. If the elbow is to the side, I obviously can't bend my arm down. It's going to bend this way, which is not what we want. We want the elbow on top so that we can bend the arm down. So how do you do that? Well, you must have sufficient mobility in your shoulder and in your arm in order to do that. What you don't want to do is to crank your shoulder such that, oh man, I got to get my elbow on top, because that's going to cause problems later on, and plus strain your shoulder as well as other arm structures. That's bad. So what I would encourage you to do is to find a good physical therapist or find some resources to help with shoulder mobility. Okay. So then the other thing to note is there's two ways to get your elbow on top. The first way is something that Coach Shinji showed me, which amazed me when he first did it, but then it took me about, 6 months to figure it out. But it was basically being able to rotate your elbow without moving your hand or excessive motion of the shoulder. Watch. See how I just rotated my shoulder, my elbow on top, and that way I can bend it underneath. Now, my shoulder is not cranking to get there, okay? It's just this part of my arm is doing most of the motion just to get it up there. So what happens is, as I'm recovering and I spear, my elbow rotates on top as my spear happens. Okay? And then that sets me up for a good catch scenario as the other arm comes in. Now that's the more difficult way. I encourage you to play with that. It took me a while to figure out how to turn my elbow on top without moving my hand or doing something here. Okay? Now the other way to do this, which is probably a little more easier, and thanks to Coach Dave Cameron for this one, is to simply rotate your thumb down about 5 degrees, just a tiny bit, and that'll get your elbow up on top too. Now also note that if the elbow is not all the way on top, as long as it's higher than the horizontal, it should be okay. Because once you bend down, and remember, as I'm turning to catch, and my body is also turning, that angle will allow me to have my hand and fingers pointing downward by the time my body turns. Okay, so you don't really need to have the elbow fully on top, just enough on top so I can bend it down. You can see even the angle of my arm is not like that, which is straight downward, but it's a little bit off. And there you have it. The first part of getting the mastery of early vertical forearm.